about her most of all when I think about her family. I've never really had the chance to ever meet her family, and the conditions of their coming into contact with me ever were always through the courtroom. I want to see Meredith's grave. I want to be there, and I want to actually be able to say goodbye to her.
Patrick Lumumba's nightclub went under. He sued Knox for slander and was awarded roughly $50,000. She's appealing and has not paid him any money.
Her family overnight released a statement, and they said they're not going to read the book, that they are waiting to be heard, and that their beloved Meredith is the victim. What do you say to the Kercher family this morning, Amanda?
Meredith Kercher is the victim. Meredith Kercher died, and her family deserves answers. The prosecution didn't give that to them. I still hope they'll read my book, because in it, I talk about Meredith. I talk about the relationship I had with her. And that is the little amount that I can give them of her. But I also want them to be able to come away with my perspective, because if they're seeking answers, and they deserve to have answers, and I give it as every answer that I can in my book. It's the first way that I can reach out to them, and I really hope that we can connect one day.
I know you would try.
Out of this situation?
I have gained financially in the telling of my story, which is the story of being wrongfully accused and imprisoned for something I didn't do. And that has nothing to do with Meredith.
Do you think it's disrespectful yourself to Meredith's memory, Meredith's family?
When I first saw them, it was in court, and I saw from their faces that they thought I was the one who killed their daughter. I would hope that they wouldn't have those faces now. But even if they did, I'd ask them to give me a chance, for them to understand that I'm not the person who the prosecution says I am. I'm not the person who their lawyer says I am. That I care about Meredith. I care about justice for her.
How do you feel that potentially the Kercher family may always think that you had something to do with the death of their daughter?
I hope that's not the case. It takes away the possibility of there being healing for them and for me, because I won't visit her grave unless they give me permission to. And I want the part of her that was alive to be more defining in my life. And the part of her that remains is her family.
You and how difficult it's been for you, but clearly for Meredith's family this has been an absolute nightmare. You have said that you would like to meet them, you would like to pay your respects at Meredith's grave. They've said no. How do you feel about that? Where do you stand now?
I can understand where they're coming from, and this has been the major obstacle for me reaching out to them, because I know that they think that I had some sort of involvement with Meredith's death. And I want them, I would hope that they would eventually take into consideration even the possibility of my innocence. They need to understand that the prosecution is simply wrong, and that their lawyers are wrong, and that is so hard, that you want to trust the system, you want to trust that the answers that were given to you are the answers that are true, And I understand that it's very difficult. I understand that it's hard to be logical about this, but I also want them to understand that Meredith really was my friend. She was very kind to me, and I had nothing to do with her murder, and I am truly innocent. And I truly believe that the only way that any of us are going to be able to heal from all of this is if we come together and acknowledge the pain that we have all gone through. I've read John Kercher's book. I've done everything that I could to hear what they had to say in the few times that they had opened themselves up to the outside world about their grief. I have not been able to have the kind of contact with them and to be able to confront closure as far as grieving for Meredith's death. And that's what I've envisioned would be the greatest closure, is for them to be willing to take me to her grave. And because, I mean, I never had a chance to see them. I never had a chance to see them before I was already called the murderer, before the case was closed. They never had a chance to even think that I was innocent.
Amanda, we'll have to leave it there. I know we're going to be talking to you.
Were you ever in communication with Meredith Kercher's family?
I was in communication. I tried to speak with Meredith Kercher's family through their lawyer because I sent him a letter saying that it was sad what happened to their daughter, and I'm not responsible for anything, but I hope the truth will come up very soon, and I feel bad for thinking or imagine how a parent can feel in a situation like this. My mother died in 2005, 2 years before all this tragedy, and I know what means missing a very important person in your life.
Mm-hmm. And what was their response to that? Did they believe you when you said that you weren't responsible for...
No, they never responded, and even the lawyer, they all never responded. Neither the lawyer, neither them. They behave like I'm not there. I mean, they never cared about me.
And what about now, after this is all passed and you've been exonerated? Have you been able to reach out to them?
No, they still go on ignoring me. So I don't know what to say to them.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith Kercher's parents may not be swayed by a verdict one way or another. They may always think that you are responsible for the death, the murder of their daughter. Can you live with that?
I really hope that that isn't the case. I really hope that they can come to understand that it's so hard to be logical about this when you've lost someone so close to you and so important to you. But I really hope that with time, with things changing, with an opening, they'll give my innocence a chance, and I'll be able to approach them. I don't want to be forever separated from them, because at this point Meredith is a part of my life, and I only knew her for a very short amount of time, but she'll always be there, and I want to be able to share that with them. So,
AmandaKnox. Amanda, thanks for taking time to talk to us this morning. We will be following this trial.
A couple of messages from people watching you speak this morning. Sarah says so many lives have been ruined by this case. Roger says the only victims, he disagrees with you, he says the only victims in this dreadful crime are Miss Kercher and her family.
Well, there are many victims in this case, and there are Amanda's parents, my parents, all our families, Patrick Lumumba's families, Patrick Lumumba himself. There are a lot of victims, actually. Of course, Meredith Kercher is the first victim, but there are many others made by the persecution mistakes.
That's what you mean by saying you're a victim. How do you think of Meredith Kercher's family?
Yeah, sometimes I think about them, and I'm really sad that they still stick about the persecution theory, because it's completely wrong. They completely miss the case.
Well, they say that they still have questions, and that they may never know the truth.
That is what the persecution says today. So it's exactly the same thing. And I'm sad they repeat what the persecution says, because the real facts about this murder are inside the documents. You can read them and see that the reality of this case is completely different from what the persecution wanted to make people believe.